Yeah, hello and welcome to the webinar today on Let's Power Automate all your documents with dox42, a webinar of dox42 together with Proximo 3. I'm Lisa Pulsinger, Senior Technical Evangelist and Product Manager at dox42, and I've been working on power automating documents for quite a long time now. I've been with dox42 for 5.5 years, focusing myself on Dynamics 365 and on the Power Platform. And I'm very happy to show you some demos and some more information about that today. But I'm even more happy that I'm not going to do this on my own, that I have Andrew on the call with me. Hi, Andrew.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Lisa. Thanks for the introduction. Looking forward to talking more about dox42 and what it can do. We come across a lot of very common scenarios with document generation, and so looking forward to covering some of those and how dox42 can help.
Yeah, thank you for that. So what's our plan today? We will, of course, talk about the challenges around data and document automation. So why is the document automation so important? We will, of course, introduce Proximo 3, we'll introduce dox42 to you, and then the biggest part will be the live demo. So we will show you how you can automatically generate quotes from D365 CE, how everything connects or integrates with Power Automate. We will then, of course, show you behind the scenes the template design of dox42, and then we will also show you a scenario where we use Power Apps and SharePoint. And of course, we are going to present a lot today, but we invite you to ask your questions. So on the right-hand side on your screen, on the go-to meeting panel, you should see like a questions tab. So feel free to post your questions in there if you have any. And towards the end, we will have a Q&A section where we will answer them. But good, let's get started. And Andrew, I'm passing the mic to you.
Sure, no problem. So hi, everyone. My name's Andrew Bibby. I'm from a company called Proximo 3. We're a partner, a Microsoft partner in the UK. And we founded a few years ago when my co-founders and I recognized actually we wanted to build a partner of a certain type and bring our expertise to that. So we have all been working with Dynamics 365 and Microsoft Power Platform for around 15 years, give or take. And we provide consultancy and also training on those products. And it's all we do. We just do Dynamics 365 and Power Platform, lots of experience there. And we also do recruitment as well for those particular industries. We are all Microsoft MVPs, so if you don't know what that is, that's an award that's given by Microsoft for people that are knowledgeable and have expertise in Dynamics 365 and Power Platform and other Microsoft products. So it's an award that's given out every year by Microsoft, and that's also for involvement in the Microsoft community as well. So the picture there is my colleague Mark Christie speaking at an event, and actually we organise events in the UK and attend lots of events around Europe as well. So if you're ever at one of those business applications events, please do say hello. And dox42, obviously one of our valued partners that we work with, where we come across these very common problems with document generation that customers have. And we're going to look at some of the ways that dox42 can help with those issues today. So yeah, really interested to get started.
Thank you, Andrew. So maybe speaking of the challenges, so can you introduce us? So what do you see in practice? Where do you really see the need for document automation? What are the pain points?
So this is something I've come across throughout my career, really. Lots and lots of companies want to do some kind of automation with their documents, but it's quite difficult. Sometimes it's very technical. And they quite often just give up and revert back to manual processes. But when you're generating documents, whatever sort of document it is, whether it's quote or some kind of product brochure or spreadsheets or anything, it's always very prone to manual error, and you really have to rely on the people doing those jobs to get that right. And that's something that document automation can help with. And also, it can take a very long time to generate documents. I know this myself, having written many quotes and proposals in my time. And if you can cut down that time and those errors, that's obviously a benefit to the organization as well. And that's a lot of the reasons why companies would consider a product like dox42.
Yeah, so errors happen, right? And whenever you do something manually, even if you're like a very tedious worker and you pay very close attention to detail, it's going to take a lot of time. And of course, sometimes there will be mistakes. So really copy pasting is not the ideal way to go forward with creating important documents, right?
Yeah, takes a lot of time, requires more people to do the same jobs, but still so many customers that we speak to, that's how they work. That's their day-to-day. They have people, administrators, just making these documents out. And there is some more effort required in order to automate your documents. You need to have the right data in the first place in your systems, but the benefits of doing that, just far outweigh trying to do that manually.
Yeah, of course, when starting a project, there's always, of course, an upfront effort, but then in the end, you can enjoy the automation and the freedom it gives you, right, to complete other tasks, maybe that are even more fun to do than creating documents manually.
Yeah, nobody enjoys that, I'm sure. Yeah, I mean, scenarios I can think of. So I was working with a customer probably last year, where they were generating some really quite complex documents, and it would take people hours to do these, the salespeople, literally 2 or 3 hours. And introducing a product that can automate that, it can literally cut that time down to the click of a button to generate the document, save it somewhere, and maybe email that to an end customer. So just massive benefits in efficiency, and that has obviously cost benefits, and like you say, it makes people's jobs much less dull, let's say.
Exactly. That's a very good example you mentioned there, and it will actually fit quite well to the scenario we are going to show also today in the demo, where we create a document and archive it and also send it to the recipient by email automatically. And it really saves a lot of time, and like any manual step in between is basically not needed anymore.
I mean, just as an end user, that would make me very happy, rather than spending hours crafting a document, checking everything, checking it again before it gets sent to a customer. For you to just be able to press a button and generate that document, it's just, apart from the time saving, it's, that makes my job so much easier. I think another area that I've come across with lots of customers is the reliance on IT to generate these documents, maybe as reports or things like that. And it's often seen, this process of generating documents is often seen as a very complex technical exercise that you need to be a developer, or you need to work in IT to be able to kind of understand that. And that, again, puts people off implementing a system like this, because we've all been at those organizations where, you send a request to IT for a new document, it goes onto the pile of other work that they're working on. You might get something back in a few weeks' time, if you're lucky, and it might be right, it might not be right, So what you want to do is really empower those end users, maybe those more experienced users, to create their own documents and their own templates, and their own automations as well. So if we can do that, again, we're reducing the reliance on IT, we're speeding up the whole process of getting those documents created, those templates created, and also in terms of maintaining those documents and keeping them up to date. That's not an exercise for IT anymore. That's something that actually the people that are using those documents can go and do. So massive benefits there as well. And that really fits into the Power Platform ethos, which is empowering users to build solutions, big or small, for their business problems, so that they're not so reliant on going to the IT department and hoping they'll get some kind of solution in the next few months.
Yeah, great example. I've actually just been talking to a customer 2 days ago that described exactly that, the same thing that you mentioned. They have a lot of documents, and of course the business departments, they own the documents, but they can't make any changes themselves because the changes need to be programmed. So they need to go to IT, and even if they just want to change, the logo or the font or like a small text, it sometimes takes weeks to make the change. So by the time they get the updated document, it's outdated already. So they're looking for something that can really empower the business so they can change it themselves.
Yeah, and businesses change all the time, right? Particularly these days, no business stays still. There's always changes to marketing or regulation or other business kind of drivers that mean that you have to keep your own documentation up to date. And I think there's a good point there on the slide about you're reliant on somebody else to do those changes if it's an IT department or some other technical department, and they only work a certain number of hours. They're not going to be available if you need to make a change late night on a Friday and you're trying to get some proposal out the door, which lots of people end up doing. So yeah, again, it's empowering those users to make changes themselves.
Very cool. Yeah, and we're going to show you now how you can actually really empower the business users, how you can keep being flexibly and individually with your documents, how you can have the automation, but without needing that deep IT knowledge. And that's what we are going to show you in the live demo.
Yeah, a particular scenario that I come across a lot is an end user wanting to create a document and have a lot of control over the template, lots of maybe adding paragraphs based on certain conditions or certain products or whatever it might be. And then once that document's been generated, let's say they want to turn it into a PDF, they want to store it somewhere, they also want to send it to a customer, all very, very, in a very streamlined way. And if you think of those processes, doing each step manually, all of the time that takes. So it's a very, very common scenario. So I think that's what we're going to look at as an example of how we can do that with dox42.
Yeah, I'll show you that in a second. So thank you for introducing us to the challenges. I think it's very important to be aware of where to really get benefits if you're looking at the solution. So looking at the challenges always helps in the beginning. Good. So now, what is dox42? So dox42 is a software product for document generation. As Enver mentioned, it's about really empowering business users. We do that by allowing a template design in Word, Excel, or PowerPoint, and without any programming skills. So really, business can generate and design and update templates themselves. And they can also integrate data from any system. We'll see that on the next slide. We have around 600 customers that are using dox42, and they're all come from any industry. So down below you can see some examples. So for example, Rewe, that's one of the biggest supermarkets in Germany. Then Land Salzburg, so of course Austrian public sector. EasyJet in the UK is using dox42. Or maybe a Flaschenpost, this is like the biggest German online supermarket. They're producing, I think, up to 3 million invoices each month with dox42. And all of them, yeah, it's quite a big number. and they're quite cool. So if you're ever in Germany and need a beer delivered somewhere, you should go to Flaschenpost. Good. Yeah, and all of them, they create different kinds of documents. So it could be quotes, it could be contracts, legal documents, maybe ERP-related documents. All of that can be automated with dox42. And how does the design look like? So The designers, as mentioned, they design in Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, and they have an add-in, so an extra ribbon up here with all the functionalities to design the Word templates or Excel or PowerPoint. And then you can see here on the slide on the left-hand side, the blue fields, those are the placeholders. And here you can integrate data like textual data, images someone can insert, dynamic graphs, dynamic tables, of course, dynamic paragraphs, calculations, conditions, QR codes. You can really do a lot of complex things, but in an easy manner, all automated in Word. And of course, I'll show you the live template as well.
So Lisa, would you say that if you can use Word, you can build these templates, or if you can use Excel or PowerPoint, you can build these templates? It's that straightforward?
Yeah, it is. You can really use Word, Excel, or PowerPoint. And the cool thing is, if you, for example, have one output in Word and you have like the same data, but also one PowerPoint is the output, you just need to set up the data structure once in the background, and then you can use it for a Word template or for a PowerPoint template. And really anyone that has worked with Word or PowerPoint or Excel before can really easily design and format the documents how they should look like.
Very cool. So if you're creating a load of documents that are quite similar, maybe, you can just build out that data structure once and then just create different versions of that document as well.
Exactly, yeah, you can do that. And it's very easy. You could just, if something changes, you just drag and drop like the new field into the document, and then you say, for example, this field last name, this should, you mark it, and then you say this should be bold and Arial and size 12, because this is the new corporate identity, for example. Then you just mark it like that, you click on save, you generate to test it, and then you're good to go and live with the updated changes.
Very good. Sounds easy.
Yeah, I think it is, but I'll also show you live on the template so we can prove that it actually is. And of course, what's the heart of every dox42 document are, of course, the data sources in the background. So today we are focusing on integrating data from Dynamics 365, so Dynamics CE, and also from SharePoint. But of course, you can also integrate data from any other system. So of course, when I speak of Dynamics CE, I'm also speaking of Dataverse. You could also integrate data from FO. It could be even databases, web services, XML, JSON. All of that can be integrated without programming, and you just drag and drop then the data fields into the document. And that's input. And then of course the output is also important. As you mentioned before, it's not just about generating a document and then maybe getting a docx returned, but it's also about maybe sending it to the customer, maybe archiving the document, storing it on SharePoint. And all of that is also easily possible just with a click or with a workflow that's happening in the background. So you could generate a document, send it to DocuSign, and you're good to go.
That's really cool, because getting documents signed as well. So let's say you've done a quote and you need somebody to sign off to agree on that quote. That would normally be multiple steps, even with automation. You'd have to generate the document, save it somewhere, send it to DocuSign, maybe using Power Automate, get that signed, and then bring that back. But what we're saying here is we can do it all in one process, which is again cutting down effort and maintenance and everything else. I like SMS as well, and images. There's some surprising outputs too. Yeah, that's very interesting.
Exactly, yeah. So any document you can just design like the text in Word, and then via an SMS gateway you can then send the document via SMS or making nice images. All of that's possible, so very flexible there. Good. And then let's prove live how everything looks like and how it works. So we've prepared a few demos. First of all, a sales quote generating from CE. Then we will generate it also using Power Automate. Then I'll show you the template design. And in the end, we will also show you a contract example using Power Apps and SharePoint. So in my Dynamics CE, I would like to show you the quote generation with dox42. So in my example, in my scenario, I'm a seller for solar panels. We're selling solar panels in our company, and I have set up a quote in here. And of course, solar panels, they are quite a complex product, so we will need to include quite a lot of information in our quote, because we want the quote to be compelling, we want it to convince the customer, and we want the customer to sign the contract in the end. And in Dynamics, we've prepared here, of course, we have the quote ID, we've got the currency, we've got 3 products here, the prices, a discount, and so on. But then, since we want a really nice, compelling quote, just creating a document with a table with 3 products won't be enough. We have some additional information we want to include. And how we've done this for this demo is we've taken here this quote ID and we've prepared a folder on SharePoint where we've asked the project team to upload the additional information that should then go into the quote. So if we have a look, I'm here on my SharePoint and here is my quote ID. And here we see a few documents uploaded, and that documents will be added to the quote in the end. So let's have a look. So one is a PowerPoint, like a Word document, here with the graph, here is some text. So it shows if there's even enough sunshine to put up solar panels. That looks good. We have an Excel file here where the technical team, they calculated how many hours it might take to install everything. So here also with some Excel formulas that we want to integrate. We have a PowerPoint slide, a picture of a connection plan that should go into the document, as well as here we have our special deal for customers. Let's make it green so we see that I've changed something here. Good. So all of that should go into the quote. And me as the salesperson, I don't want to have any effort of copy pasting that together. I just want to use dox42 for that. And I'm doing that right now. So I have some various dox42 integration buttons up here, and I use this one. And now I make a simple action first. I say dox42 should generate the quote and should return it as a PDF document for me. And that's happening now in the background. So there's a dox42 Word template that's now being pulled. The data is inserted from here, and it will return as a quote as a PDF document in a second, including all the data we've seen. And here's the document. We see a logo up here. Here's the address. We've got a QR code added. This is the first Word document we've seen that was stored on SharePoint. Here's a product table with 3 products because we have 3 products in Dynamics. And this was our Excel table where I've changed the hours, if you look closely. Our PowerPoint slide, and also here our last Word document here with this green text, which I've changed as well. And all of that compiled automatically. I just clicked a button and it generated the document for me. What I could also do is, of course, I could send the document straight away by email. I could create a draft email. I could save it to SharePoint or attach it to the entity. Or what I can do is I can have like a closer look, and I see they get, for example, a discount of 30%. Let's say they've been a really, really good and loyal customer. I want to give them even a little bit more of a discount. So let's say I want to give them 35%. I want to change that. So I'm saving, I'm updating the quote here now. And of course, now I could click the button again and regenerate the document to display the 35%. But actually, I don't need to do that because in the background, now a Power Automate flow was triggered that regenerated the document for me because I changed that, and it's storing the regenerated document for me on SharePoint.
Very nice.
Yes, it really helps you to be really up to date and to always have the latest version stored on your SharePoint. And if we have a look here, so we see, okay, the flow is currently running, so it should be on SharePoint in a second. We see it succeeded our call. And basically, we set to Power Automate whenever something is changed, then take the flow, run it, and use the dox42 connector. We have a premium and a custom connector you can use, and then it stores the document for us on SharePoint. And let's have a look at the SharePoint. It's actually stored here. We see about a minute ago, I've created the document here with some metadata. And here, if I click on it and if I scroll down and zoom in, we see here the 35% discount. And you know, if you use also version control, version history of SharePoint, you can always see what changes have been made to the document. So that's Power Automate. And then let's quickly also have a look at the Word template. Okay, so you manage the templates on SharePoint. Here's our sales quote, and I open it in Word. And now, instead of like the filled-in data, we are going to see a lot of blue data fields, even colorful data fields. Those are the dox42 fields. And if I click on one, I can always see where does my data come from. So in that case, it's from the data source, Dynamics Data Source Organization, and it's a field called green. Here, it's also organization's name. It's the same field basically. And if I want to like insert a new one, very easy. I just select it and then I just double click or drag and drop the document into the field into here. But I'm removing that again. And up here, dox42, this is where you get like all the possibilities to, for example, insert your data sources. So here you can see for this template, we've used Dynamics data sources, SharePoint and Excel data sources. But of course, you could also integrate data from Dynamics FO, Dynamics BC, and even SAP or XML JSON. This is where you set up everything. And of course, in the template, this is also where you set up like the conditions, some dynamic text blocks. And this is where you also you can test your template. So I say, I want to test my template here also in Word. I want to generate it. And now dox42 connect to Dynamics 365. It's going to return us now our sales quote here with filled in information, and we can see what has happened. So if you view it side by side, we can see, like, of course, here this block turned into the address. Here, this whole one field, we see we've inserted this as a type Word document, so that was the Word document. Or down below, we have conditions. So here you can see a field called freight, so a line, but here it's not inserted because around it we've placed a condition, and where we said only insert this if there's a freight amount added, but there wasn't, so it's not shown.
Very good. And I saw there that you could insert product imagery as well. So if you have in your product catalog in Dynamics 365, if you have the images, it will pull those through.
Exactly. So in that case, the images come from the Dynamics 365. You can integrate it from them. But even if you have your pictures stored on SharePoint, for example, that would also work. So you don't have to put everything into Dynamics. If you already have your pictures somewhere, from anywhere else is possible as well.
Very good. So that data model that you set up there, the data map, I should say. So is it the case where you could have somebody that's maybe a little bit more of a power user, that they set that up and then other people can use that to build their documents. So they, you know, that's already sort of there for them, and then they're just dragging and dropping fields onto the templates.
Yeah, it can definitely make sense to have someone set up the data map that's familiar with the data model in Dataverse or D365, because you would need to know, okay, which entities to insert, what are the common identifiers. So that could be more of a power user, and then the design could really be done by someone that's just a business user, because they just need to know, you know, which field to put somewhere, and then they can always test it and design it in any way they need.
Very good.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's a quick overview of the template design. And this template design is actually also available as a tutorial. So everyone that's testing dox42, you can just click in the add-in on tutorials, and then you can try it out yourself and connect to your own D365 system, generating a quote like that. Yeah, and then just as a last quick demo point, I would like to show you that dox42 is not just possible to use it from D365, but you could really use it from anywhere. So for example, if you're using Power Apps, if you generated the Power App, you can also create documents from there. Here I have a Power App, and I want to generate, for example, a contract for Michaela Mitarbeiter. She is going to be hired as a developer. She will get a Tesla as a company car. You know, this is an HR scenario. Here you can see her salary. Of course, you could have this on your phone. I'm not using Dynamics right now. I'm clicking here on Generate Employee Contract. And now in the background, dox42 is generating a contract, sending it to Michaela, and also sending it to SharePoint and storing it on SharePoint, which I can show you from here in my Teams. So I can go to my all contracts, and here you can see I've just generated via the Power App a contract for Michaela that is now stored in my Teams, an employee contract with exactly the data we've seen there, with a salary of like 3,000 euros and being hired as a developer.
Very good. So you don't have to have that stage where you generate the document, but you also need to file it in your HR system, or, you know, wherever all of your contracts are stored. You can also automatically connect to that and send it there. And is that all done through Power Automate?
Yeah, in the Power Apps setup, it's all done with our Power Automate Connect in the background. Yes.
So you have complete control over what happens, you know, where things go. There's no restriction, limitation. Obviously, you've got all of those other connectors there as well. There's over 1,000 other connectors, so I imagine you could get data from those connectors and put those into documents as well. So huge amount of flexibility.
Yeah, limitless options. Yeah. Or also here, this would be our SharePoint integration. You could also generate documents from here and then click a button and let dox42 generate a document, for example, send it to DocuSign. So really can be the Lego stone, so to say, on your processes, on the systems you're using, very platform independent there.
Very good. So you don't just have to use Microsoft stuff. There's pretty much any option available.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, so that was the live demo part. I hope I could give you like some good introduction and a teaser on what dox42 can do. And maybe let's now just quickly sum up and then just answer one or two questions that are there. So basically, what are the main points of dox42? So first of all, really empowering the business user by having a design in Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, really in an easy manner, and also the flexibility to integrate data from any source. So be it Dynamics CE, FO, SharePoint, or anything else. And of course, having the flexibility also with the output. So we've seen generating a document, storing it on SharePoint, sending it by email, generating a PDF, a docx document, even an SMS. that's possible. And of course, integrating like intelligent and high quality documents, like integrating, of course, calculations, text blocks, QR codes, pictures, dynamic charts, so be it. So it's very flexible there. And of course, it will help you be individual in your corporate identity. It will help you save tons of time. So the manual effort we've mentioned as a challenge in the beginning won't be there anymore. You will avoid copy and paste mistakes. And of course, in the end, you will have fewer templates, as you can have so many different, text blocks, calculations, conditions, and so on.
Yeah, I think that last point is a really good one, in that you can pull in sections of your document, have them as standard somewhere, maybe in SharePoint, and not have to copy and paste that even into your templates. You can just pull it in because you need that bit of standard text and use that in multiple different templates.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have customers, for example, having a central header and footer stored on their SharePoint, and and then integrating the rest of the documents. And if they want to update the header and footer, they just need to do it once in the central header footer template, and it's taken for all the templates in the end. So that will save a lot of time as well.
Yeah, it saves loads of time, because lots of companies change their logo, change their font, change their branding, so always a big effort to reformat all the documents.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay, great. Should we take a look and see if we've got any questions?
Yes.
Let's see, we have one.
Mm-hmm.
So we are using Dynamics 365 CE, so the CRM side, and also FO, so the more on the ERP. Can I use dox42 for both applications? I think we have seen that already, but Lisa.
Yeah, very good questions. Yeah, of course you can use it both. We haven't shown a live demo for FO, but of course we also integrate with FO, and you could even have, for example, an FO document where you also integrate data from CE, so you can even mix that one. So yeah, absolutely possible.
I think that's a really interesting use case, because integrating the CE in the FO, it's not all that easy, to get data between those systems. And if you want to pull some data, let's say to do an invoice from Business Central, that can be a bit tricky. You have to make some integration points and things like that, but you could absolutely do that with dox42.
Yeah.
So is dox42 a software as a service tool? Now, I saw actually it mentioned on that previous slide about security. Obviously, people are very interested in this process being very secure, even if it's hosted somewhere else. So how does that work?
Yeah, very good question. And yes, dox42 is available as a cloud version, a cloud tool. Everything, so if you decide for the SaaS version, everything is hosted in Azure. It's all within the European Union. We are ISO certified, it's all GDPR compliant, so we fulfill, of course, all the security and safety, and it's all on the Azure platform. Alternatively, dox42 is also available as on-premise, but we see more and more demand for the dox42 Online, the SaaS tool.
Yeah, and very scalable. Obviously, if it's in Azure, put lots of documents through that without any problems. You mentioned there about, was it one of the companies creating 3 million documents a month? I mean, that's kind of crazy numbers.
And
but
it's
yes,
in the cloud as well with dox42 SaaS.
Yeah, fantastic. And you get all of that Microsoft security, reliability, all of those things from the Microsoft platform as well. So you don't have to worry about those yourself, which can be very, very costly to do on premise.
Yeah. Exactly. We take care of all of that.
Very good. And then one thing actually I wondered about, we talked lots about the Word template side and maybe PowerPoint as well. Obviously the world runs on Excel. Every finance department I've ever come across totally reliant on Excel.
Yeah.
What can we do with Excel?
Yeah, so classic is reports, of course. So having tables with on different tabs, for example, having different charts, calculations, like a thing would be, for example, that every Friday at 3 p.m. the sales report with the updated graphs is being generated and is being sent to the board of directors. That would be a classic Excel
Great
scenario.
example. Yeah, yeah. They love reports, right?
Oh yeah,
And I guess
do.
you could do that as a PDF and just email it to them automatically.
Yeah.
Yeah, very similar sort of scenario for lots of sales teams as well. They would rather have kind of reports in their hands and look at charts rather than looking at Dynamics or whatever CRM system they're using. Yeah, very interesting. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, very good.
Yeah, so thank you for all the questions. It's always good to get, the interest and getting your feedback. And yeah, if you have any more questions afterwards, of course, it's always good for you to get in touch with us. You can always get a free trial, so you can test dox42 for 30 days for free. You can either contact me or dox42, or of course, you can also go to Andrew and contact Proximo 3 to talk about the potential project you could do together with Proximo on dox42.
Very happy to talk about that. Great,
Good.
Thank you, Lisa.
Then thank you, Andrew, and thank you, everyone, and have a very nice afternoon.
Thanks.